안녕하십니까. 유니세프 다녀요 스페셜 앵커 송지입니다. 오늘 유니세프 뉴스룸에서는 지금도 가자지구 현장에서 어린이의 이야기를 전하고 있는 제임스 엘더와 함께 현장의 이야기를 들어보겠습니다.
I turn around and 360 degrees is just rubble. All girls and boys in Gaza remain in survival mode. Keeps closing his eyes to try and picture his mum and his dad.
지금 들으신 목소리는 유니세프 글로벌 대변인 제임스 엘더입니다. James, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
It's really lovely to connect. I'm glad to be here. You guys do incredible work. So I'm glad we're making this happen.
James, looking back, how did your journey with UNICEF begin? And what does this role mean to you on a personal level?
It's been a long journey, I have to say. I've worked for UNICEF now for more than 20 years. I started in Angola, which is in Africa, after what was the longest running civil war in Africa. So the country was decimated. Very tough place to live. Very difficult, very hard to access, water, endemic malaria, more landmines than children. But I had a great office and I started to understand what UNICEF does. It was the first place to understand this incredible combination UNICEF does. My job is to sit with children and families and hear about their struggles. And it's a very privileged job because no matter where I am, the people you meet do extraordinary things. Yes, they've often got war against them or a climate crisis against them, but the effort mums and dads and teachers and doctors will go to protect their children. So my job is to listen to them. And because they don't have a microphone, to share their stories around the world and to share what UNICEF does. UNICEF, every cent, every dollar, every won of our funding comes from everyday people or donors. It's entirely donor funded. And so I talk about what UNICEF does around the world.
James, thank you for sharing the incredible journey with us. From everything you're seeing on the ground right now, what is your absolute concern for the children of Gaza today?
Oh my goodness, Gaza. There's a scale of human suffering like we haven't seen. Widespread food shortages remain. Almost all children in Gaza only eat, 2 food groups or less a day. They eat bread, basically. The level of destruction in Gaza is unlike anything we've seen in modern times. It's apocalyptic. When I'm in Gaza, I turn around and 360 degrees is just rubble. 90% of schools, 90% of hospitals damaged or destroyed. The health system, the sanitation system, the water system has been crushed. Lack of food, lack of water, lack of health care. It collapses their immune system. So all girls and boys in Gaza remain in survival mode. The level of trauma for girls and boys is something that people can't understand. The ceasefire in Gaza took Gaza away from the world's attention. That's terrifying for Palestinians because they are still being squashed and suffocated.
James, a common question from our donors in Korea centers around accountability. When a donation is made, how does the support actually reach children on the ground?
That's a very good question. Yeah, every dollar donated, every won given, it doesn't become aid by magic. It moves through a very tried and tested supply chain, right? So UNICEF has the largest supply hub in the world. Then, yeah, you're right, Gaza, okay? Every truckload requires approval, manifestos, inspections, coordinations. So we have done this day in, day out. So we know how to do this. So we get the supplies into Gaza. It doesn't stop there. UNICEF has something called the last mile. We take it from a supply hub, whether it's nutrition, whether it's education, whether it's water, and we wait and we watch it get to that child or to that mother. That's the beautiful thing. We have a very stringent monitoring system, and we know these things as well because then we test. We then see, are we able to deliver more water? Yes, we are. Are we seeing malnutrition decrease? Yes, we are. Are we, for the first time in 2 years, getting education supplies into Gaza? Yes, we are. We've done this for 80 years. So this is what we do, and there is a very stringent monitoring system in place to make sure that those donor funds turn into healthy, happier kids.
Despite all the challenges you've described, UNICEF continues to work every day in Gaza. So I'd like to ask about hope. What real progress or small victories on the ground are giving you hope for the future of Gaza's children?
UNICEF Palestinian colleagues in Gaza, our doctors, our nutritionists, our logisticians, our educators, our trauma specialists, they all live there. They've all lost family members. They've all lost their homes. What have we done? So again, education for Palestinians, it's so important. In the last 6 months, we've got 300,000 children back into school. These are makeshift, these are tents, whatever, but we're making that happen. Water and sanitation, it's again a focus for UNICEF, of course. Water pipelines have been destroyed. We're repairing those. We're repairing desalination plants. We did a polio vaccination campaign. There was polio in Gaza for the first time in decades. We've got more than 100 nutrition centres across the Gaza Strip. We do incredible trauma work for children. And then they hear an airstrike whilst they're being, given tools to deal with the horrors they're dealing with. So we are not stopping and making great successes.
I want to ask you something a bit more personal. What keeps you going? Where do you find the strength to keep doing this work?
Yeah, it's difficult. There's no doubt. And in 20 years of this, I've never seen so many children killed or wounded. There are times in Gaza where I don't just see those children. I don't just see little girls and boys with those wounds. You hear them. So what keeps me going is that everywhere I go, UNICEF is a frontline organisation. We work very much there. But the ultimate frontline is mums and dads. And the lengths I see mums and dads go to protect their children, to feed their children, to educate their children. UNICEF and all those people who support UNICEF, we are there to help those people. And I have such access to very brave colleagues and to amazing health workers and doctors and mums and dads who just, despite sometimes being abandoned, they never ever give up on children. These people, the inspiration of these people carry me through.
James, is there one specific child whose story has permanently stayed with you?
A little boy who I see every time I go to Gaza. He's now 11. His name is Omar. When I met Omar, the airstrike had killed his mum and his dad and his twin brother. And Omar just, as we spoke, he would keep closing his eyes, and for long periods of time. And I asked his auntie, why does he do that? And she said, look, James, he knows he's lost his mum and his dad, but he just doesn't want to lose them in his mind. He doesn't want to forget what they look like. So he keeps closing his eyes to try and picture his mum and his dad. My life, and I hope that he gets a chance to live somewhere other than a war zone and get back into school and really heal. So probably Omar is one that sits very, very firmly in my mind.
Thank you for sharing that deeply moving story. What messages would you like to share with the Korean Committee for UNICEF donors?
So, supporting children today, it reinforces all of that. And that to me is a game changer. And I guess, I'm well aware of cost of living crises, but I'm also well aware, because I've done this job for a long time, of the generosity of South Koreans. I see this I work around the world. I see where that support is. It is a population who clearly looks beyond those borders and sees other. I really do know how much UNICEF South Korea does. So it's really nice to connect.
One final question. Many of our viewers dream of working for UNICEF one day. What piece of advice would you give to someone who hopes to follow in your footsteps?
We don't all have to work in war zone. Love that work, and you're willing to give a portion of your income to people who didn't have your opportunity. That's a game changer. Read lots, learn a language, learn your history, and even if you don't end up doing this work, dive into those community-based projects. Is a very good place to start, to see happier faces and a better society all around you.
James, thank you so much for sharing your time and your stories with us today.
Well done to everyone. Hey, pass on my best regards. Lovely weekend. Great to connect. Hey, see you again.
오늘 제임스 엘더와의 이야기를 통해 우리는 가자지구 어린이가 마주한 현실과 그 속에서도 아이들을 지키기 위해 노력하는 수많은 사람들의 이야기를 들어볼 수 있었습니다. 유니세프는 앞으로도 어린이의 목소리를 전하고 어린이가 더 나은 미래를 꿈꿀 수 있도록 함께하겠습니다. 시청해주셔서 감사합니다.